Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am super excited to be talking Ladies of London, Season 3, Episode 3, Rules of Engagement. You guys, I'm so excited to be talking about this. I know many of you guys have commented the same way I feel. I can't believe this is Season 3. I'm not ready for this to be done, but don't worry. We're going to enjoy every episode. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it all. And you guys... I just love this show. So we'll find something else when this is done, but stick with me for now. Let's do this thing. Let's get into it. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and say if you're enjoying this show, please check out my Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search Real Housewives Recaps, or check the comments below and I'll put a link. And for $1 a week, you can support my show and get 4 bonus episodes per month. I'm covering Scary Island, like the greatest season of Real Housewives of New York. So check it out. Thanks so much. Okay, so the episode starts out with Julie Montagu telling her daughter that she's decided to invite everyone to Mapperton. So it's setting the stage. We know this is where they're headed. So then we see Marissa with Sadie. Oh, I love this little baby so much. So cute. She introduces us to Patricia, her maternity nurse. And she said that she's hired her with each baby she's had. She said that the nurse bosses them around and they love her. Matt talks about his dream of moving to California. That's her childhood home, so she's not dying to go back. But bougie closed and all the stuff with Marissa and the baby, it was just too much for him. So he keeps saying he wants to cut and run. So she's talking about having high tea for the girls after 9 months of bed rest. She wants to go drink and have fun, and she's super excited about planning this. So then we go to Caroline Fleming's house in Chelsea. Now, her therapist's name is Caroline Dolby, because why wouldn't you have 3 Carolines in the same episode? Wow. Okay, so Caroline Dolby, her therapist, comes over. We see more of Caroline Fleming. Sometimes she can be a little bit... I love Caroline Fleming. She's one of my favorites. But she can be a little bit spacey maybe when she talks. But we do get to see more depth to her here where she talks about... So remember when she went back to her hometown, was it Denmark? And she was being sworn by the Danish press. She ends up telling them about her father's illness. And... she reveals that to them, and she explains that ever since then, her family has been super pissed. Her stepmother hung up the phone on her, didn't want to talk about it, so she feels like she's in the doghouse, and she's super bummed about it. And we find out, she says their decisions are ruled by money, and hers are ruled by love. So she's grieving something she lost a long time ago. She said she was holding on hope that she could reconcile with her family, but she's realizing that the hope that her family will support her has gone. Okay, so it's the next day. It's the day of Marissa's event. Unfortunately, Marissa calls Sophie and says that they've had to go to the hospital with Sadie. She woke up gray and pale and not super responsive. And of course, Marissa is absolutely crying, and Sophie is like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. She calls the other ladies. She talks to Sophie, who's riding with Caroline, and tells them the unfortunate news. So then after that, she goes ahead and calls Julie Montagu, who says, why don't you just come on over? So we see Sophie go over to Julie's house, and they're talking about how awful this is and how poor Marissa's been through hell, with the difficult pregnancy and now this. And they end up calling her. Now, we do get good news that they'll be able to go home in a few days, that she's doing much better, and they think it's some sort of viral infection. So Marissa's saying, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to make it to Mapperton. Julie's like, no, don't worry about that. So then Julie starts talking about the last time Marissa wasn't in a group event, that she was annihilated. She's worried about round 2 with Caroline Stanbury. Sophie explains to Jules that she and Caroline Stanbury just had a row. She says she won't let it get to that situation again. Because remember, Caroline Stanbury's kind of upset that Julie and Sophie are such good friends. And she thinks Sophie should 100% be on Caroline Stanbury's side. It's a whole thing. So I love Caroline Stanbury. She definitely, we see it this episode, can get catty, I guess is the word, and upset with it if people aren't 100% on her side at all times. And that's not how friendships work. We do see Marissa and Matt. Marissa's upset. She said she's doing better, but she's crying, saying it's just too much. Matt's comforting her. Marissa says, I don't know how close we were to a different outcome, and it's too much. Ugh, poor thing. That's too much to go through. I'm so glad that baby ended up being fine. That's rough. That's terrible. Okay, so then we go over to Sophie and Adela. They are riding together to get to Mapperton. Julie says all eyes are on her because she's the American. Julie's making a huge deal out of this. She explains that she's always been a guest in this home. This is the first time she's actually hosting, and they're preparing, they're opening up the house, and this is a big deal for her. So she thinks all eyes are on her. It is funny because she talks to the staff, like this lady here, and they just kind of roll their eyes at her a little bit. I think Julie is just like a chihuahua where she gets overexcited, and the staff's just like, okay, and they just want to pet her head. But anyway, so she's hosting, and Julie introduces us to this guy named Andrew. Andrew's the butler. She calls him her secret weapon. So apparently he trains butlers how to be butler for aristocratic families. Then she puts in this little dig saying Caroline Stanbury, but butlers don't hold a candle to him. So already there's this rivalry going on, and we know that that's going to get pretty good. Then we see Caroline Stanbury and Luke go pick up Caroline Fleming and Juliet. Stanbury is late. She arrives to get them at 1, and they're supposed to be at Mapperton at 2. We find out from Caroline Fleming it takes about 4 hours to get there. Whoa. They're riding in this Mercedes G-Wagon, and that's my dream car. So keep supporting the show, and maybe in 100 years I can afford this car. But I love it. I think it's such a cool car. But anyway, so this becomes a theme. So they're waiting. They're pissed. Caroline Stanbury taking her sweet time. But Juliet in the car starts rapping. She's awful. Caroline Stanbury says she hates this trip already, so they're not off to a great start. Juliet, once again, over the top. She really annoyed me this episode, and we'll get into it in a little bit, because I think Caroline Stanbury gets things wrong, and she's a little too much in this episode, and Juliet is just like so, I don't know how to say it eloquently, up her butt. I don't know. It's just the craziest, brown-nosiest thing I've ever seen. So then Sophie and Adela arrive. They arrive just after 2. They're greeted by beautiful brownies and tea cakes. Look at that. I love the flowers growing on the side of the house. I just think it's beautiful here. Ella has a funny line where she says she's used to seeing Julie on the back of a bike with her helmet and her crazy hair, and not in front of this grand manner like this. So we flash between Caroline Stanbury in the car and, over back at Mapperton. They're kind of going back and forth. Over at Mapperton, Julie is telling the others about Lord's sandwich, and the reason the sandwich came to be, we've heard the story, it's because he didn't want to get his cards greasy, the 2 pieces of bread on either side of the meat, which made the sandwich. Okay. So it's 5 p.m. They end up arriving 3 hours late. Oh my God. Sophie says it will be awkward to see Caroline Stanbury, but in true British fashion, we've swept it under the rug. Let's see. The Mapperton staff is there. They're pouring champagne. It just looks like such a great space. I want to go there. I want to pull my G-Wagon up there. It's beautiful. Okay, so then this lady comes out to give a house tour, and that's where stuff starts to go south, because most people are enjoying the tour. They're taking a look around, and it's a Tudor house built in 1540. Stanbury says this is the life that's not for her. It'd be a noose around her neck. So this becomes the theme of the episode. She keeps saying things like this. Again, I love Stanbury. I've been a diehard fan this entire series. I just think she got it wrong here. She was being rude. Even if you feel that way, you don't need to say it 13 times on a tour of this, grand estate. And I do agree. She kind of points out that Julie's almost like lording this over her. Well, maybe I don't agree. I don't know if that's what Julie's doing. I think she's just showing off her in-laws' estate, But Stanbury's just not into the tour. They're going around each room. She's making these jokes. She's teasing about kids dying at the house, and to the point where Adela took it seriously and asked later, like, did kids die at the house? And Julie's like, no. So it was just kind of rude. Now, this is where Julie messes up. She makes a huge showing of saying, guys, there are house rules. And she said, this is the only one this doesn't pertain to is Caroline Fleming, because I know she'll be respectful of all this. So this is for the rest of you. It was just kind of rude the way she said it. No complaining about the food or passing food around the table. This seems to be an ongoing theme of something especially Juliet does. Look at Juliet's face here. It kind of made me laugh. No saying you're going to the bathroom and going to the front yard to smoke. Juliet's making a big fuss saying, no fun here. Make sure you're back for dinner at 8 p.m. So it was kind of weird timing to do this. I get why she did, because they've behaved pretty awfully in the past, but she knew this wouldn't go well, especially with Captain Stanbury. I don't follow rules, She loves to bring up the boarding school thing and how she lived her life like that. She's not going to do it anymore. So only Adela and Sophie are staying at the house. The rest of them drive away. They go to this hotel. Julie asks about the rules and if Sophie and Adela were mad. And they say, yes, why do we have to follow Caroline Fleming? They're just kind of laughing about it and joking. So the others are talking about the rules and says Caroline Stanbury saying Julie has no idea of etiquette. So again, these two are clashing. This is where Stanbury has this line that says, I'm not here for your amusement, you're here for mine. So again, this is definitely leading up to something big. Okay, so it's the evening of the dinner. I gotta point out a few things here. I thought Julie Montagu's dress is gorgeous. Wait till she stands up, you can see the back detail. I thought she looked really beautiful. I hate Juliet's dress. That's typically how that goes. I just don't understand these matronly outfits she wears. I think it looks awful. I surprisingly didn't love Stanbury's outfit. I usually do. I don't love this one. My standout is Adela. Adela's dress is so beautiful. I just thought she looked really stunning in the dress. Okay, so Stanbury comes out and everybody's pissed at her because they've had to wait on her. There's Adela's dress too, if you can see that. Let's see. Remember, dinner's supposed to start at 8. It's 10 o'clock, and Julie and Sophie and Adela are waiting. Julie says she's sitting down at 10:30 regardless, and that they're horrendously late. So the ladies walk in. Caroline Fleming apologizes 1,000 times. It's not her fault. They're all waiting on Stanbury. Again, it's all a power play. She knew what she was doing. Her excuse was, listen, you booked a hotel 30 minutes away, and you didn't give me time for a bath. Okay, fine, that's kind of annoying, but she knew what she was doing. She's tried to break these rules on purpose. It's all a power play. So Julie says to Juliet, last time I saw you, you were shouting at me. She said, same to Caroline Stanbury, you were shouting at me. But then Julie says she doesn't hold any grudges. I want to work it out with both of you. I think I can sense that you want to work it out too. And then we see Juliet rolls her eyes and neither of them respond. And it's really awkward. So they sit down to dinner and Julie has sat Caroline Stanbury on one side and Juliet on the other, because she knows those are the two that are more likely to misbehave, I suppose. So it's kind of funny, but again, these rules, it is a bit much. Like, just relax, enjoy this. This is your first time hosting. It's a big deal. Like, just chill. Let him have fun. I forgot to mention Sophie. She always looks stunning. I love the way she dresses. The pale pink, I think, is very, very pretty on her. Okay, so they all cheers to Marissa. Stanbury says that Julie wants to show us we're at her giant estate and we're beneath her and she's the lady of the manor. I don't think that's what Julie's doing. yes, part of her is wanting to show off, and she's making a big deal out of it, but I don't think she's saying that they're beneath her, because she puts herself down in every other sentence about how she doesn't know what she's doing, and she's going to mess it up as the American. So I just don't take it that seriously, what she's doing. So Julie brings up that tomorrow she wants to take everybody fishing. Well, Stanbury is not into this at all. She goes on and on about how she doesn't like boats, she doesn't want to smell like a fish, all this stuff. Adela points out that she's sounding like a spoiled brat. Julie says you go into somebody's house who's hosting for a lovely weekend, you respect them. Even Caroline Fleming says, listen, she comes from this world, she understands the rules. She says sometimes you're given a choice, sometimes you're not, and when there's no choice, there's no choice. Meaning, just go with it. So everybody seems to get that except for Caroline Stanbury, who's saying, I don't care. Adela's like, well, you should care. Adela says, you can whine the whole time. It'll be great. It wasn't that big of a dig, I didn't think, that Adela made. Juliet says, Adela, you're getting quite spicy with one of your dear friends tonight. So this is where Juliet continues to bug me. She's so far up Caroline Stanbury's rear, she can't think for herself. Her automatic mode is to go in and try to protect Stanbury like her minion or something. Stanbury is clearly acting out and being rude at this dinner, and Juliet is still like, I got you, Caroline. It's okay. I mean, it's just so weird. It's like social climbing and stuff. I'm covering Miami right now, and honestly, she reminds me of Karen a little bit, where it's that fake, over-the-top social climbing that I cannot handle. So again, Stanbury and Adela are kind of building up. They're kind of going back and forth. Stanbury says that she's going to whack her fist down Adela's throat. Stanbury says, when you give me the do's and don'ts, it strangles me. Don't tell me how I'm going to behave. So I think Stanbury's just being over the top here. I do agree that it is a little rude to just keep setting down these rules and making it not so fun, but again, Stanbury's just being a little ridiculous with this. Fleming, again, explains to the camera that she comes from an old family with a lot of rules and manners. It's an integral part of who she is. She doesn't understand why Stanbury's acting this way, so I think they're all kind of a little over Stanbury, except for Juliet, who's right there with her. And that's how the episode ends. It actually ends with Stanbury saying, I'm so sick of you, Adela. You're a pain in the ass. Because Adela's just trying to tell her, stop being spoiled brat, And then, so that's basically how the episode ends. So we do see a flash to next time. Stanbury leaves pissed. It's Caroline Stanbury versus Sophie. I hate seeing that. I hate when they're arguing. We do see the fishing trip. And then we see Caroline Stanbury and Sophie are still arguing. So she doesn't make it to Sophie's son's birthday party. She had planned to go to the party. And sounds like she opts out of it. And that sucks. I just want those two to get along. So that's it for the episode. I really enjoyed this one. I love getting into this manor stuff. I just find it so fascinating. I especially love when they go back to like Caroline Fleming's house to see what that is like, just to see all that. I just enjoy the show so much. Anyway, so that's it for the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be sure to check back lots. I'm covering all kinds of stuff from this show to Miami to 90 Day Fiancé, which, P.S., they took off this week. That's why I'm posting this one today. I'm covering all kinds of stuff. So check back, Below Deck, all kinds of stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you want to support the show further, check out my Patreon. $1 a week, $4 a month gets you 4 bonus episodes. So thank you guys for everything. Have a wonderful week. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.